Another issue that Congress is focusing on, and that is earmarks. And if you remember, this is something that was banned just around 10 years ago, but now lawmakers are looking to bring it back. It's making a comeback on Capitol Hill and a push by Democrats. And we want to bring in Rick Newman, who, of course, is looking into this story for us. And Rick, I guess explain to us why there's this effort at this point to bring back earmarks after they were banned just around 10 years ago.
These became very controversial in the early 2000s, and there were some other things going on at the time, some lobbying scandals, other things like that, kickback schemes. So President Obama was critical of earmarks, this so-called pork, these projects that members can get stuff done in their districts and in their home states. So Congress stopped doing them beginning in 2011. And now there's some evidence that this actually interfered with Congress being able to get things done. It may have reduced bipartisanship. And it turns out that these earmarks, these pork projects, this is actually important grease for the machinery in Congress, because this is one way that you can get more members of Congress, whether in the House or in the Senate, to actually support a bill they might not otherwise vote for. So a Republican might not want to vote in favor of Democratic legislation unless that person can maybe get a few $1,000,000 for a health clinic or a playground or a road that needs to be built in his or her district. And then that member of Congress can go home and say, "See what I did? See how effective I am? I'm getting money for us back here." So that's one of the reasons Democrats want to bring this back. And there's a fair amount of research that suggests this actually is a useful tool in Congress, and maybe it does have some merits after all.
I guess one person's incentive is another person's bribe. But when we talk about earmarks, Rick, I mean, there's the bridge to nowhere in Alaska. The Big Dig up in Boston was an earmark. And why spend $7 billion when you can spend $15 billion, right? They might have gone away the process of how they used to do them, but don't they still exist in some ways? Don't these congressmen and congresspeople still get funds that they then disperse? It never really disappeared, did it?
You're right, Adam. Your cynicism is appropriate. Yeah, there are ways that some members of Congress can get certain things done for favored constituents. It's harder without earmarks. But one of the things that has happened is earmarks have just shifted from the congressional or the legislative branch over to the executive branch. So we've heard about these big omnibus spending bills that Congress passes. A lot of times, Congress is appropriating just a big pot of money. And then the executive branch, it would be the administration of President Obama first and then President Trump. They actually did a lot of the decision making about where the money gets spent. So somebody is making these decisions one way or another. And Article 1 of the U.S. Constitution actually makes it very clear. I mean, Congress has the authority and the obligation to decide how the money it appropriates gets spent. So one of the arguments, again, in favor of bringing back earmarks is this is Congress's job. Whether you like that it is Congress's job or not, in a way, doesn't matter. This is what Congress is supposed to do. I should add that there's going to be some new rules here, so there has to be more transparency. All of these earmarks are supposed to be posted online so everybody can find them. There are new rules that limit the ability to give some of these projects to companies or for-profit organizations for things like that. But they're going to be back. We're going to have them now as part of a lot of the bills we're going to see coming later this year, and we'll get to see how much waste, fraud, and abuse they actually generate.